Assalamu alaikum, which means peace to the gods, peace to the goddesses. Assalamu alaikum, shalom, hotep, peace, peace. I'm your brother in the struggle, Brother Minister Alifullah. And today we're going to decipher and decipher ancient Hinduism and the war of the gods. Now today I'm going to come from a couple of the life-giving teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I'm going to mathematically do this thing freestyle, but I want to cite just a quote from Messenger Elijah Muhammad directly from Theology of Time. This is 1972. I want to quote from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's How to Eat to Live, book number 2 or volume number 2, which is 1972. And I also want to come from the Genesis years, which is a tome or compilation of the Messenger's original and divine and direct articles from 1959 to 1962. And I want to come from Hinduism, the spirit of Hinduism, its mythology, philosophy, religious and moral practices and beliefs, its historical evolution as a religious way of life, and its present role in Indian society, which is edited by Louis Renault. And I want to come from the classic Krishna. In fact, I want to quote a Hindu scholar. This is His Divine Grace, Swami Prabhupada. And I want to give you his words real quick. We have seen many rich persons, many powerful persons, many famous persons, many beautiful persons, many learned and scholarly persons, and persons in the renounced order. But we have never seen any one person who is unlimitedly and simultaneously wealthy, powerful, famous, beautiful, wise, and unattached like Krishna in the history of humanity. Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead, is an historical person who appeared on this earth 5,000 years ago. He stayed on this earth for 125 years and played exactly like a human being, but his activities were unparalleled. Okay, so that's our premise, our foundation that we're going to build on today. You know what I mean? Me personally, I respect any religion on the planet Earth. A wise scholar teaching on Krishna, who I love and respect, teaching that Krishna was basically a human being, a god on earth 5,000 years ago. I would, as a student follower or talib of Elias Muhammad, of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, I would disagree theologically that Krishna, or anyone for that matter, I'm talking Buddha, Muhammad, Yahshua, Jesus, Noah, Lot, whatever. Now, I take the position from studying the life-giving teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad that the black man is God, plain and simple, and that Krishna, 5,000 years ago, while we appreciate and love and use his life and legacy as well as his wisdom that he shared with humanity, he was a mere blip in the echelon of the gods. And the black man who founded India in 3 primary ways, as we'll get into the science of it later. Now, basically, We believe that the black man was God. We taught the black man was God. And as we would live in different regions of the planet Earth, see, originally all of the land masses was connected into one. India, Arabia, Africa, all that was connected. Recently, I don't know if many of you are aware of the science, the actual geography and geology, the isotopes, the science that they found. Africa in the future is going to break off again. Like we have Madagascar, a piece like 3 times bigger than that's great, break off Africa. So Africa is great. It's going to be another new 8th continent in the far distant, I ain't going to say far, but millions of years in the future, according to the geologists and scientists that study the movement of the rocks, if you will. But that being said, when we go backwards in time, we go back to the origin of how the planet was, where we had one, what we would call in this day and time, one supercontinent. I know a lot of people get spooky and don't understand the historical, cultural, and scientific evidence that support exactly what Messenger Elijah Muhammad taught us regarding us being Asiatics or world citizens. But the scientists, now that global warming is happening in 2022 and the ice is melting, they're finding all kind of things. The satellites orbiting the Earth is, you could download the app for free, Google Earth, and you'll see stuff with your own naked eye. Short version. They just found that the scientists now believe that, I would say the modern scientists anyway, they now believe that ancient Antarctica was connected to the America. I mean, as far as the land masses connect, they actually studied the rocks and like, we took the rock from here, from Antarctica, and we took the rock from America and took them to the lab and we studied the isotopes. We scientifically and chemically analyzed this stuff, and we found that these rocks from 2 different continents are 100% the same rock. That some kind of way this broke off from this. We don't know how long ago. We don't know why. We don't know if it was due to volcanic activity, if it was a meteor hitting the earth, or earthquake, whatever. Now, I mean, a combination of those things, who knows? But the short version is, what they keep finding is that the earth is way older than they ever not thought, but imagined. See, that present estimates is like the earth is billions of years. It's like, no, the message is like, listen, we were highly civilized in advanced civilizations 76 trillion, 76, give you an idea, 76 trillion years ago. We had flying vehicles superior than the flying vehicles we have on Earth right now. FOIs and MDTs, but I believe in the mother plane. The message teaches about the mother plane. The mother plane that we have today is not the only our first mother plane. We had mother planes that were superior than the mother plane made by Master Muhammad in 1902. We had mother planes that produced mountains in the Himalayas. These things seem impossible to the 85%, the mentally dead, because all of our research and all of our education and all of our religious teachings came from the 10%ers, the rich, the slave makers of the poor who teach the poor lies. To believe that the almighty, true, and living God is a spook. So we're going to get a little bit into this Hinduism. There's a lot of overlapping that I want to try to avoid. You have like over 16 crucified saviors on earth, so a lot of stuff sound familiar, like the resurrection of Jesus. None of that stuff is new. All that stuff is ancient stuff that they bit off of ancient black people teachings. Know what I mean? Then we have the problem with the pseudosciences. Know what I mean? A lot of people listen to the white translators, white archaeologists, that had their own biases and prejudices. So when they come and study stuff and they find, wait a minute, what is this? How the heck? There's no way that this ancient artifact was used before us, before the Bronze Era, before the Greeks and Roman civilization came about. Therefore, we're going to say that it has a different date. We're going to use pseudoscience and say, or we're going to say, oh, aliens had to do it. Now, I mean, they get so spooky when they find ancient technology in King Tut's tomb. They like, well, the reason he had a dagger like that is because a meteor must have fell from the heavens onto the earth and burnt up with a perfect balance of iron and carbon to produce steel. And that's how they was able to make steel before this Iron Age came into existence. It's like, no, we just had technology that we had technology that I don't understand. You don't understand. We will never understand. I mean, it's like they're finding ancient artifacts all over the planet Earth. And it's going to be stuff that earthquakes going to reveal. When the waters recede, you're going to find ancient cities. When they drill into the earth, they're going to find ancient cities that have been buried for not millions, billions, and trillions of years. And those things are mere child's play compared to the culture of black men, women, and children who have been developing cultures on the face of the planet Earth for over 76 trillion years, family. You know what I mean? So, in this, we see the residues, you know what I mean, and the messenger and How to Live tells us we got to have wisdom. We got to have hakimi to maintain and promote the peace. So I'm not one to come in and bring about Yaqub's law of divide and conquer. I understand Dr. Yaqub Malik Shabazz's law of divide and conquer. My thing is, if we humble ourselves, if we're willing to submit to the will of the Lord God who came to person Master Father Muhammad, to my praises due forever, and his first, last, and only messenger, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad's teachings. Now, I mean, we will have a better perspective, a better interpretation, a better premise, and a better foundation to build upon for future generations. Now, I mean, it'll bring about balance and it'll bring about unity and harmony because all of the systems are actually interrelated. I don't care if you're a pure black man or a pure white man or a pure black woman or a pure white woman. All of us mathematically are intertwined. We all come from that black root. Now, out of that comes all shades of black, all shades of brown, yellow, red, albinos, whites. We have those that practice beastology. So you got hybrids. So they be trying to understand all this stuff. Now, I mean, you see all these ancient skulls that they trying to figure out who are these people? Why they got elongated brains like Dr. Yaqub Malik Shabazz, like Elijah Muhammad talk about this big head scientist. Who are these big head scientists on the planet Earth in antiquity? Now, I mean, it's like genetics, it's like culture. Now, I mean, it's like you see our young sisters today, how they wear their weaves and their makeup, their long eyelashes. If you seen them today, you would think that that's something new. But look at the ancient pictures. Now, I mean, look at the ancient meta-net or hieroglyphs that they was using. This is black people, family. This is African stuff. Now, I mean, when I say Africa, I don't mean Africa like the continent as we see it today, 12 million square miles. This is Kemet or Egypt. Underneath is Nubia, the Sudan, and under that is Kush. Down here is Nubia, the Sudan. Over here is Ghana. It's like that's the European crap. That's the divide and conquer. That's us and tribes and that's with us with all kind of borders and 7,000 different languages and 4,000 different religions, and we believe in this God and that God and that God. If you heard about these gods in this day and time, you'd be like, oh, I don't believe in that God. I don't believe in that God. Oh, they worship that rock. I don't believe in worship that. Turtles. Oh, they worship the sun. I don't worship the sun. So we reject a lot of those false gods. But there's one mystery God that the people still are caught up on, and that's that imaginary mystery God. Now, I mean that's I'm not talking about the energy or the mind. Now, I mean, or the creative force. Now, I mean, people are getting more and more mature, but what was happening was we had spirituality that was not rooted in science. For us, in order to have true religion, true Hinduism, true Buddhism, Taoism, Jainism, Islam, Judaism, whatever, Christianity, Catholic, the true spiritual system must be rooted in science. So we don't have a problem with spiritual sciences. Spiritual sciences teach the same thing, just in different ways. Spiritual sciences produces male and female prophets all over the planet Earth since time immemorial that teach the same thing, just in different ways. They use various ancient signs and symbols and rituals and languages to try to share their culture, musics and foods and costumes and uniforms, you name it. Now, I mean, but there's nothing new under the light of our sun. I mean, but we have a problem in the Nation of Islam, the 5% of the poor righteous teachers. And when we say the poor righteous teachers, we don't mean the broke FOIs or the unemployed MGT. We're talking about those that strive to do for self, that understand no matter how rich or wealthy you may think you are, you think you're passing down generational wealth by passing down land or fiat money, whatever. We have seen over and over, we done seen millions of times barbarians, pirates, Vikings. We just seen gangsters, thugs, mafias come into the hood and take over. Because if you don't have the God and goddess ability to not just do for yourself, but to defend that which you have, you don't have no sovereignty. It's a myth. I mean, your constitutional rights are really constitutional privileges given to you as long as you obey your dictators, your governors, your governments, those that have superior weapons than you, those nations that have the preponderance of power. Now, I mean, maybe some weaker nations join up and it gives them an edge and make them the preponderant. Like, say you got America, I mean, with their nuclear, say China and Russia is linking up as we see today. That unification of 1 billion soldiers with unlimited wealth in China with Russian technology makes the United States like, oh, wait a minute. I mean, that's going to be a problem right there. Now, if the United States went to war with Russia, that'd be an easy victory. Anybody else on earth, easy victory. Insurrection within, easy victory. I mean, for a superpower. I mean, but China and Russia combining, that's going to be a problem. So you see all this stuff with they trying to stop TikTok, they trying to do this, they trying to, they trying to arrest Putin. What they doing is trying to use Yakub's law of divide and conquer. They coming in like, look, we trying to stop aggression here. We trying to help the people over here. They really trying to rule both sides. I mean, they like COVID, the felon banks, divisions in America, Black Lives Matter, the rich against the poor, the straight against the gay, the blacks against the whites, the Republicans against the Democrats, the old against the young. All of that is the 10% rich slave makers of the poor way of maintaining power. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, 85% us, we've been going for over 6,000 years, and I personally think we're going to continue to keep going for the crap. And, it's going to take the few. It don't take, the message said, message black. He said, it don't take big numbers to do big things. So we're not trying to convert the whole planet Earth. I don't think that we're here to save everybody. I'm not trying to save everybody. I'm trying to save myself. I'm trying to save my family. I mean, but the sad part of the prophecy is that when the angels came and they told Lot and his wife and his family, look, we're going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. We're going to give y'all a way out if you take it. If you don't take it, hey, y'all go with the rest of these modes. But if you take and go with God, the true and living God, go to Sirat al-Mustaqim, go upon the straight path, we only got one direct order. Don't look back. See, a lot of people, they think that everybody is going to heaven. Everybody's going to the hereafter. Everybody's your friend. Every brother's just simply not a brother. Every sister's just simply not a sister. Know what I mean? So you have to be systematic and mathematical, analytical in your thinking. Know what I mean? And, for over 35,000 years, we had black Hindus. The original Hindus were black. The original people on earth were black. The original tribe of Shabazz was black. Those that taught that the black man was God was black, the 5%ers. Those that taught everything, including the black man was God, the 10% using technology, was also black. The messengers, Fez with the star and crescent, had a pyramid placed upon it in antiquity, and it had the same exact symbol and the stars on it, but it was considered the hat of a wizard or female, a witch, and they was using technology. I mean, they had the Star of Justice, or they had the spear. They had the power of the microphone, sound, vibration that was able to affect not just crystals, but actual matter on the planet Earth, as well as the subconsciousness of human beings like it is today. When you come on YouTube and you hear these 10%ers, they got so much money and they got so many millions of views and likes and so many beautiful mansions and Rolls Royces and Maybachs, and they on islands, and they got all the trappings of those that worship the false God, those that worship the white man as God, those that worship fiat money. They're telling you, whatever you do, try to worship the white man's money. Try to get in the white man's world. They want everything to be subordinate. That's what they consider success or paradise or peace, is imperialism all over the planet Earth. That's what the whole world is trying to get right now. So they consider that wealth. I mean, so Master Muhammad in the 1930s, he's like, listen, this thing ain't about money. Now, I mean, when we talk about money, we're talking about consciousness. We're talking about righteousness. We're talking about peace. We're talking about unity, real love. We're talking about sacrifice. We're talking about intelligence. We're talking about holy intellect. We're talking about engineering and nature. We're talking about clean air. Now, I mean, we're talking about healthy babies and peaceful communities and technological advances and mastering the self and mastering the atoms that make and comprise our universe, covering 230 quintillion, 640 quadrillion miles. Being God. Not finding God, worshiping God, praying to God. I mean, being God. I mean, not reading the holy book, writing your own books, writing your own history, manifesting your own destiny. Now, I mean, and these things at this low vibration that the masses are presently on, we have to be patient with them. We have to practice saburi or patience because they just not ready for that type of teaching yet. I mean, so we're going to get into this war of the gods. And I want you to understand that in 2022, I don't care if you go to India, China, Africa, Jamaica, East Coast, West Coast, North Philly, South Philly, wherever you go on the planet Earth, if you go to Europe, now I mean, you're going to find that the black man, black woman, and black child is oppressed and suppressed by those that have wealth and material gains in the society. They have to keep our people mentally dead, and they have to keep us divided against each other because they understand that they all came from us. All of their trinkets, their iPhones, their cars, their rockets, their televisions, their social media, their clothing, their everything came out of the thoughts and culture of black people on the face of the planet Earth. Now, those of us that follow and believe these 10% rich slave makers of the poor, we regurgitate the same spooky nonsense and the same technology that they perfected over 6,000 years to keep us mentally enslaved. So what they do is they can't remove these giant monuments, these giant granite stones and potteries and ancient technology, ancient machinery. So they like, how are we going to explain this stuff if these supposed to be dumb niggers? If these are savages from Africa, out of Africa, if they were savages, how can we explain that the ancient civilizations is like, it's not even like Egypt is a tiny, not minority blip in the scheme of things. Ancient Nubia ain't nothing compared to what these black people was doing in antiquity. The calendars don't even exist yet compared to the calendars they already had. We can't calculate their beginning or end. A lot of people like, Master Muhammad teach us that he's the Alpha. No, he don't. Why? Listen to the believers, sad to say. You find even the believers are deceived by the devils in 2023. Listen to the language. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us where. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says where. They don't tell you. You'll be like, yo, my man, what type of scholarship is this? You don't give no references and no sources to the information. What kind of pseudoscience 85% mixed with 10%, 95% money-making, mentally dead nonsense is you really teaching? If you're going to teach the teachers of Elijah Muhammad, you got to give a source. So we're going to give you some sources, all right? I'm going to give you, the first source I'm going to give you is from The Theology of Time, 1972, Messenger Elijah Muhammad. All right. We're going to go to a quote from Messenger Elijah Muhammad about the war of the gods, meaning the war between the black man and the Hindus, if you will. All right. Let's go to first page number 63. This is 1972. So those of you that may have the tapes, you can listen to it word for word on the tapes of Messenger Elijah Muhammad. Some may have this is the, I believe it's the MIM Society. Yes, this is Secretary's MIMS publication. Abbas Rasul, the former Supreme Secretary of Messenger Elijah Muhammad, he has a good book out. I had his book back in the 80s sometime. Now I mean, he has some information that's not in this one. Now I mean, and scholars do that. That's why the Messenger told us in Theology of Time. That's a scholar. They debate over one word. Now I mean, so I'm not too concerned with that. I'm confident that in the future, the with the technology and the scholarship and the intellectuals, they'll figure all that, the fine parts out. They'll cross their T's and dot their I's down there. Now, I mean, I'm trying to get to the main idea right now. I'm trying to use reading comprehension and applied mathematics. I mean, that's the type of teaching I'm trying to give you today. I'm not trying to get you to follow me or none of that kind of stuff. I'm trying to get you to wake up and to study, learn, and apply the messenger's message in this age of mess. Now, I mean, so let us turn to, what was that I said that was? Page 63. Okay. I'm going to, just for the, because I'm coming from the book and not the actual tapes, I believe it's the Clam production, something like that. I just came across about a month ago some nice crack videos on YouTube where they have, I believe, the Theology of Time. I don't know if the whole series is on there, but I did see some crack direct videos by Messenger Elijah Muhammad that I appreciate, salute. Now I mean, I seen on there they had Lost Found Miles Lesson number 2, and those that know me, I did elaboration of the lost lessons like 40 and for decades I've been arguing with the believers, try to get to understand that they simply just got Lost Found Miles lesson number 2 wrong when they talk about who made the Holy Quran or Bible in the years, the math. You cross-reference that to the messenger's divine direct teachings, and you take the lesson you're quoting, which I'm saying is not even mathematical, because the 9 is missing. Know what I mean? But you look at what the messenger said himself, he didn't use that formula. And I would say on average, 90% of every FY and MDT, ministers included, is using the wrong math on that. Know what I mean? But that's a totally different issue. I'm not going to get into too much. All right, so this Hindu quote is from the June 18th, 1972 Theology of Time. All right, we're going to read from page number 63. The messenger teaches us, "You're blind, deaf, and dumb to the knowledge of self. Therefore, you say, quote, come on, let's go over to Vietnam and kill them so America can rule without her. You didn't know what you were saying because you didn't know yourself. What is the root of the Vietnam War with America? It is to let these two fight. They both are enemies of God. Let them fight and let them kill off as many as they want of themselves, the Christians and the Hindus. Vietnam people are Hindus, and you have no right whatsoever trying to make yourself a Hindu by defending them. But you didn't know that. I'm telling you, they're no kin to us. They're no brothers of ours. They hate you if you let them go free and let their Hinduism, which is their religion, rule longer. If you don't believe like they believe in Hinduism, they would want to kill you. In the first place, you were the dumbbell. You had no rights over there. But you went because he called you and told you to come and go with me to fight my enemy. You said, yes, sir. But if I don't go, he will put me in jail. What about the one he put in the grave? We have been made just like our enemy, the devil. We have the desire to defend him even at the price of killing each other. The Hindu people are not brothers of ours. Just because they have black eyes or something, or because you see some natural part of the man looking like you, no, sir, they're not of us at all. That old Hinduism has been taught by them, so God taught me for 35,000 years. Not just 3,000 or 2,000 from Jesus, but 35,000 years. That's the age of Hinduism. You can't change them hardly, as the Muslims tell me over there, that if they make one convert to Islam a year, they think they're doing fine. He's an old enemy of God. That war was to run him and his Hinduism off the planet. That's why God let him and a Christian fight each other, because he intends to get both of them. God is here after us because we were born under the enemy, and the enemy has taught us from the cradle to do as he does, which is against our own people. His teaching is so strong that we start cutting each other's throats or shooting each other down. Two brothers shoot each other to death or cut each other to death. Think over that. Now, we know this is going on in 2023. Brothers are shooting each other all over the streets in America, ghettos, stabbing each other up. They're quick to stab each other. Think about that. The black man will stab the black man so fast in the penitentiary, but his brain doesn't even fathom them coming together to fight for their freedom to get out of the prison. He'll kill each other in the prison, but won't fight to get out of the prison. They'll kill each other in the streets, but won't come together to defend the streets and defend their families and their mothers and grandmothers and children and businesses and communities and homes. It shows that we are literally mentally dead, full of hatred. So the messenger here is talking a sad reality, and he gives us the solution later on. We'll get into that. You know what I mean? But the short version is you have this caste system in India. You know what I mean? You know, it's like, how much of the white man's fiat money do you have? How much of the white man's blood do you share? How much of the colonizers' blood was forced upon your female lineage? How many Indian women did the Europeans rape and mix their blood with to produce a lighter shade of Indian? The darker you are in India, the farther south you go in India, where the so-called black Dalits live at, you find that the actual constitution, the actual organized religion, keeps them in a permanent underclass. It uses racism and sexism and classism. It's not you. I'm not blaming India or finding fault with our Hindu brothers and sisters. It's the same thing. Christianity, Catholicism, Islam, Judaism, politics, education, housing, the judicial system, economics, whatever. Know what I mean? But it's all under different banners and labels and religions and rituals and symbols. But at the end of the day, white is right, black is wrong. Wealth is the power. If you're poor, you're nobody. You're no thing. Know what I mean? You know, you're undercast. Know what I mean? That thing is like, it's so bad in the spookism of Hinduism. They literally is on the tip. Like, if you're born a nigga, you're gonna die a nigga, and you get reincarnated, you're gonna come back a nigga. You were born a dollar, you were born a slave, you were born a servant, you were born ignorant. If you lived 1,000 lives, every time you come back, your children's children will be subjected to the white people up in the north. The closer you get to Russia and Europe, the better off you are. It's a slave mentality. Now, true Hinduism was a spiritual science based on freedom, justice, and equality. Like all spiritual systems, it gets hijacked by the 10%, the greedy, the colonizers, the invaders. The high priests want to make more money, so they come up with all kind of spooky stuff, and they incorporate that spooky stuff into the original teachings. And the next thing you know, the believers is like spooked out their mind. It happens in all spiritual sciences, family. It's 2023. You could clearly see it's happening right here in the Nation of Islam. Imagine Master Muhammad teaching in 1934 and compare what he was teaching to what you see being taught in 2023. Imagine Messenger Elijah Muhammad physically being in our midst, hearing FOIs and MGTs talking the way they teach in 2023 and 1969. The messenger would suspend his ministers. He would put out the believers. He would sit you down and correct you, like, what is you talking about? That's hypocrisy. That's not our teaching. That's not what he taught. That's not what he teaches. I mean, he said how to live. I mean, what is it? Page 72, I think it is. Let me check this out real quick. The messenger told us this. '75. He said, leave my teachings as it is. No wonder that Jesus had to run the money changers out of the synagogue, they who were turned it into a marketplace to sell their produces of this and that. You are doing the same. See, that fiat money have our people like selling snake oil, superstition, life after death, bringing the devil's technology into the original man cipher, taking you away from your lessons, got you just worshiping a mystery god, a spooker law. I mean, you don't even talk the language of Master Muhammad. You no longer teach that the black man is God. Now, I mean, you know, the message said, let me get one of his books, because we getting so spooky. It's like we literally, it ain't that we forgetting. They're intentionally changing the teachings, and the 85% are so gullible, they go along with, they know it's bullcrap, but since our leaders is teaching it, our commanding officers are teaching it, our ministers, captains, secretaries is teaching it, we just adopt it and accept the nonsense. But this is what the messenger teaches us. Quote, this here is Al Says Around. This is the messenger's last book. This is Our Savior Has Arrived. This is what the messenger said on page number 56 in 1974, February 26. Quote, he looked into you before you were born, saw your thoughts, listened to what you would be saying today, and saw your works. We just fold up our own arms and sit down and wait for time. Allah said they just waited. They're so glad that the day has come now that they can show you now that the black man is God. This is a day and time that you should know God. There are two on the scene at the present time, an evil God and a good God. When we say Allah, that name means God and covers all Muslims. It don't cover one Muslim. It don't cover Master Muhammad. It don't cover the messenger. It don't cover your minister. It don't cover the father. It don't cover the mother. The messenger teaches us it covers all Muslims. And he goes on to explain that when we say Muslims, we don't mean Muslims like soon as, oh, I'm Muslim because I took my shahada, I pointed my finger, la ilaha illallah. That don't make you. When we say Muslim, we mean Muslims in a sense like this. See this? See that? Look at that. Look at that. See the water? See how I shake it? It won't stop shaking. Till I calm it down. Cause and effect. Sound. 1,120 feet per second. It won't stay up because of the law. It's Muslim. It submits to the universal order of things. The messenger teaches us if your religious so-called religion is not in harmony or in accord with the universal order of things, it cannot be said to be the religion of God. That's organized religion. That's spookism. Now, I mean, that's that pseudo spooky stuff. That's the nonsense. I ain't gonna just say it's nonsense. I'm trying to be humble. That's the absolute ignorance that you believe in, that when you physically die, some white ghost gonna come out your mouth and float off into outer space somewhere, and you're gonna go see your grandma and grandpa, and because of your good deeds, you're going up into heaven, or your bad deeds, you're gonna go into the earth and burn in hell and drink hot lava and lead and all. It's ignorance, spookism. That's the stuff the 10%ers. That's the stuff those that need that new Maybach and those that's pushing the new Teslas and Rolls Royces. The message says stop buying expensive cars and fine clothes for being able to live in a fine home. We don't have no nation yet. We don't even have a nation state. We don't even have 100 FOIs building their own houses. In Lancaster County, the Amish just built 100 houses. You drive through, I'm out Chester, you drive through here, they building houses with their bare hands. They cutting down trees. They come in, dig, there'd be a hill there. They'll dig the dirt, level it, pack it down, boom, 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 boom. Pour concrete, lay the foundation, put the wood into the joint, put the level on it, and they build beautiful homes, beautiful schools, beautiful factories. Now, I mean, you see them doing this right here on the face of the planet Earth. You see wasps doing that, honey bees doing that. You see the fish going against the grain, doing their migration, laying their eggs, turtles struggling. Now, I mean, you know, you see the seals, you see the birds flying south. You see everything in nature, that's considered a independent, sovereign people, sovereign being, sentient being, doing for themselves, except the so-called African Americans, because we are caught up on the greatest sin ever to exist in the past 6,000 years. And that's the devil's fiat money. The love of that money is the root of every single conscious sin we can think of. Everything we doing wrong is because we're thinking that we are different. We're thinking that we need this type of world. Like this is the only world we know of. So in our brain, we can't imagine a world when India and Africa was one land, Arabia was one land, Antarctica was connected, Europe was connected, the islands were all connected. We were one people, one family, and different brothers, I mean, you know, moving out to different parts of the planet Earth at different times under different circumstances, doing different things, but sharing different philosophies and cultures and traditions and languages and linguistics and things of that nature there. They did different manifestations. This is the way of the gods. You know what I mean? So our present temporal system has us spooked out our minds. You know what I mean? So we have this concept of Hinduism and Buddhism and Islam and Judaism and Christianity or whatever, even atheism. We got a spooky misinterpretation, mistranslation, mistransliteration. We literally is like, oh, the things that prove that the black man and black woman is the god and goddess on the planet Earth. And from what we know, and when we say what we know, we can extrapolate what we don't know from what we do know. We do know from everything we see in the universe, whether it's a planet, a moon, a meteor, seen and unseen, energy, atom, we can't find anything greater than human beings, but other human beings. We can't find any hindrance to human beings other than other human beings. We can't find any devil on this planet that was more diabolical and more detrimental to human beings other than white devils, black devils, brown devils, yellow devils, and red devils, and albino devils. The natural devil, the Caucasian devil, isn't the only devil. The messenger teaches us 66 trillion years, when white folks wasn't even a thought. We already had the brown germ or recessive gene in our blood, in our DNA. It's in the bone marrow, it's in the rib of Adam, in the very atom of the universe. There was this negative charge out there. We had the positive, we had the proton, the 5%, we had the positive force, but we also had this neutral, 85%, this neutron force coexisting with the 5% in our DNA, in the sun, in the earth, in the atom, everywhere. And outside that circle was this negative circle, this evil sphere known as the electron cloud, 2,000 times heavier than the proton. This negative force, it naturally attracted the 5%. But by nature, regardless of your religious spooky nonsense about integration, whenever in this universe, this 5% charge, this positive proton gets attracted to the electron and they touch, it blows up the whole cipher. It destroys everything. It's something about the universe, the universal order things, the natural order of God that's like, yo, it's not hatred or racism as we know. It's not prejudice. It's human nature. It's intuitive. It's instinct. It's just something in the goldfish that when it sees a school of piranha fish coming, it's something in it. It don't need a book or lesson or religion or sermon to tell them like, we shouldn't integrate with those fish. It's something. I get this feeling. It's something in my DNA is actually vibrating. Like every atom in the fish body is like, yo, let's get the heck out of here. Let's get away from it. But it's like other fish. And they like, oh, we could go by them. It's something peaceful with we don't necessarily get along like that. Know what I mean? But it's like, we can coexist in here. But it's something about a shark, know what I mean, and a tuna, know what I mean, that the tuna is like, this is a female tuna. She's like, oh, I want to have sex with this big bull shark. She like, nah, something about him that I just, I mean, it's something about the chicken hawk that the chicken is just not attracted to. It's something in the nature of the snake and the frog that tells the frog, I don't swallow snakes, but that snake seems like it's going to swallow me. Know what I mean? There's something in the nature of human beings and the disposition of dominant and recessive genes and DNA and RNA that nature just simply has the law of opposites, the law of polarity. Now, I mean, there's hot and cold, black and white, rich and poor, male and female, right and wrong. I mean, good and evil, God and the devil, heaven and hell. It's life. It's just something intuitively. You don't have to be taught that.
After 2 millennia, India's untouchables have had enough. It's the 21st century superpower they live in that's out of touch, they say. They reject the iniquities of caste, a brutal Hindu social hierarchy which today condemns 300 million people to live as non-persons, outcasts, the lowest of the low, even among what are still officially referred to as the backward castes. They call themselves Dalits, the broken people, the oppressed, downtrodden, but now they're rising up.
They want their share in power, they want their share in production, they want their share in education, they want their share in society also. They want equal status in the society.
The Dalit hero? This man in glasses, the late B.R. Ambedkar. In his name, a lexicon of emancipation has taken root. They talk of aspiration and social revolution.
Caste is to India what apartheid was to South Africa, what segregation was to America. And a lot of these people have been chanting, "Hail Ambedkar." Ambedkar wrote modern India's post-colonial constitution, and he also was a Dalit. And he said there cannot be a more degrading form of social organization than caste. 70 years on, these people, a quarter of India's population, are still enslaved by the caste system.
Under India's constitution, the very concept of untouchability is forbidden, a crime, punishable by law. But under India's current Hindu nationalist government, discrimination against Dalits has plumbed new depths. In Gujarat, attacks have risen more than fivefold.
These people are from the society only. These people are protesting against the inhuman treatment the community people have received from the so-called upper caste people.
The touch paper that set the fire in Gujarat this month was shocking viral video of the beating of 4 Dalit men doing a dirty Dalit task, skinning a dead cow for a tannery. There's 20 minutes of this footage, filmed by the perpetrators. Using police batons, the attackers took it in turns until the humiliation was complete. The father begs for mercy, but he was beaten too. Tied to a vehicle, the beating continued outside the local police station. Only a handful of the attackers have been arrested. In this, the land of the holy cow, the thugs belong to a cow protection vigilante gang, dubbed the Hindu Taliban. Such groups have flourished since Prime Minister Narendra Modi's brand of Hindu chauvinism became acceptable. In India, killing a cow can get you 10 years in jail. Dalit lives come cheaper though. Across India, hundreds of Dalits are murdered every year, and hundreds more Dalit women raped. More often than not, the perpetrators get away with it. Every day, the newspapers are full of reports of attacks on Dalits, the length and breadth of India. Over the weekend, a 14-year-old girl was multiply raped and murdered in New Delhi. That got 3 paragraphs. The Prime Minister has remained silent. We sought an interview with Gujarat's Chief Minister, who belongs to Narendra Modi's ruling BJP. Our repeated requests went unanswered. In the remote Gujarati village of Abrampura, local Dalits who live on the edge of the village have been subject to an illegal social boycott by their upper caste neighbours for 8 weeks now. 5-year-old Ravi Kumar reportedly got into a scrap with a boy from a higher caste family. The playground squabble escalated. Ravi's father claims he and other family members were then attacked and beaten. They told me how, ever since, they've been barred from working as farm labourers, denied access to local transport and shops. Even the barber refuses to cut their hair. They can't go to the Hindu temple, can't sell their goat's milk, and their animals have been prohibited from grazing on public land. It's like we don't exist, they said.
6 families have already been forced to leave in search of better prospects. We don't want to do that. The upper castes have the land, we are the labor. But we haven't been able to work and we haven't been able to live in peace. This is very painful. All we want is justice.
Local police accompanied us as we made our way into the village proper to seek an explanation from the hostile neighbours. Kamlesh Patel, a businessman, listened to me quizzically. He denied everything. No problem here, he said, and everyone agreed. There wasn't a Dalit to be seen. In an effort to emancipate future generations, a Dalit-run charity in Ahmedabad, Gujarat's biggest city, offers after-hours schooling for Dalit children aged 5 to 13. Thousands have now been through these classes. Many have made it to university. A handful have managed to climb the ranks of the civil service. Others have broken into the corporate world. It's rare, though. They cite the Dalit mantra, B.R. Ambedkar's words: educate, agitate, organize.
Being a Dalit in India is being rejected and discarded. Being a Dalit means remaining sort of permanently untouchable. To me is nothing but the existence of feudalism in India. It is a cultural conspiracy on the part of the majority of the Hindus. They want to keep it intact. This is something we should be terribly ashamed of. As a nation, ashamed of as a nation.
So the concept of the Trinity, or three gods in the one, that's not new to the Hindu. The Hindu has 3,000 gods, 300,000 gods in one. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about the spiritual Hindus that study the spiritual science of Hinduism. I'm talking about those caught up in the technology of the caste system, which is based on racism, sexism, and imperialism. All right? The messenger tells us about this supernatural plurality of God like this. He says, "In that day, this is the day, shall there be one Lord and his name one." Zechariah chapter 14, verse 9. This refers to the time when the true God is made manifest. Before his manifestation, the people worship what they think or what they want to be their God. The devil's teaching is a division of gods, three gods into one God. The Hindus have many gods. The Muslims worship one God, Allah. Say, He, Allah, is one God. Yet, 99% of the old world Muslims think that Allah is only a spirit, is not a man. Then they too need to be taught today the reality of Allah. Surah 22, Ayah 6, in the Holy Quran, Allahu Ana al-Haq, the God is nothing but the reality. Now, we don't hate Hindus. I had a neighbor a few years ago, peace to Sunny. Know what I mean? She's good sister, know what I mean? And real humble, spiritual. And she literally had a shrine in her home. Know what I mean? And she had a humble heart, a good spirit. Know what I mean? And she believed in Hinduism. Now, I mean, we never argued over religion, but I explained to her the black man is God. And see, in her country, dark-skinned guys like me, we would be considered the Dalits, the untouchables. Know what I mean? And, you know, she started waking up. And in waking up, she started rebelling against that system. And that's what we got to do. Each one got to teach one. Now, I mean, we have to mentally resurrect our people no matter where they may be or where they may be from. Now, I mean, we have to teach them the reality of God. Now, I mean, in this great day and age of Messenger Elijah Muhammad's message that to guide our people through this age of mess.
On average, there are 88 sexual assaults in India every single day. And within this number, there's another story that's far less discussed, that members of marginalized communities are often most at risk. This includes women from the Dalit community, who are deemed the lowest in India's caste system. India's caste system has ancient roots but modern impacts. The idea of caste originates from the Manusmriti, a book of laws for Hindus. It divides people into 4 castes on the basis of their profession. And outside this caste hierarchy lie the Dalit people, a caste deemed untouchable. The word Dalit comes from the Hindi word Dalan, meaning broken or oppressed. They were assigned the worst jobs, like cleaning toilets, removing dead animal carcasses, or sweeping floors. While legally the practice of untouchability is supposed to be outlawed, attitudes towards Dalit people continue to color their lives today. It plays a significant role in every aspect of life, including in their risk of being targeted for gender-based violence. This woman lost her niece 4 days before this interview to an alleged brutal gang rape and murder that shook this village and touched a raw nerve in India.
We said enough is enough. 8 years ago, when Nirbhaya, as she came to be known, India's daughter was brutally gang raped and murdered. Today we say it again. This time as a young woman from Uttar Pradesh was once again gang raped. Police apathy and negligence of the system led to her death yesterday, and then worse was to come.
Nationwide, India continues to struggle with shocking levels of gender-based violence and rape. This state in particular, Uttar Pradesh, routinely ranks as the least safe place to be a woman. Here, in India's most populated state, 8 women are raped on average every day. But even in a state that records in excess of 3,000 rapes a year, some cases are so shocking that they break through and garner national attention. This was one such case.
Dramatic late-night developments in the village of Hathras in Uttar Pradesh, where the family of the victim has claimed that the UP police forcibly cremated their daughter's body in the middle of the night.
Some cops have formed a human chain, and the funeral is taking place at 2:30 a.m.
आप मुझे बता दीजिए क्या चल रहा है?
आप इस बारे में डीएम साहब से पूछना है। डीएम साहब से आपकी बात हुई है? डीएम साहब से बात हुई है आपकी? डीएम साहब से बात हुई है आपकी?
हटिए 1 मिनट। अब कर लिया ना आप लोगों ने जो करना है, हटिए एक बार।
हम लड़ जाएंगे आजादी के बलात्कार से, आजादी के बलात्कार से, आजादी के बलात्कार से, आजादी।
On September 14, 2020, 4 men had allegedly savagely beaten and gang raped a 19-year-old woman, leaving her grievously injured. She died 15 days after the attack.
सर्वाइकल स्पाइन इंजरी, क्वाड्रिप्लीजिया और सेप्टिसीमिया था। मुख्तलिफ प्रयास और इलाज के बावजूद उनका कल 29 सितंबर को सुबह 6:55 पर देहांत हो गया।
And since that day, the Uttar Pradesh administration started taking steps that, to their critics, looked a lot like they were trying to kill the case, an assertion officials all denied.
योगी सरकार ने इन सारी घटनाओं पर पर्दा डालने के लिए कंसेप्ट पीआर एजेंसी है बॉम्बे की, उसको एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट दिया है। उसको ये कहा है कि इंटरनेशनल कम्युनिटी को एक कंसेप्ट नोट सर्कुलेट करो, जो उसने इंडियन मीडिया और इंटरनेशनल मीडिया को सर्कुलेट भी किया है। उसमें ये कहो कि उस बिटिया के साथ बलात्कार हुआ ही नहीं है।
विधि विज्ञान प्रयोगशाला की रिपोर्ट प्राप्त हो गई है, जिसमें यह स्पष्ट रूप से बताया गया है कि जो सैंपल एकत्रित किए गए थे उसमें किसी तरह का स्पर्म और शुक्राणु नहीं पाया गया।
Her alleged
racism, George Floyd, and Black Lives Matter. But their messages of solidarity are being dismissed as hypocritical. This is probably why.
New Pond's White Beauty gives you a radiant pinkish white glow.
I get radiant fairness that lasts.
New White Perfect Day Cream from L'Oreal Paris.
Top Indian stars have either endorsed skin whitening products in the past or failed to condemn police brutality against minorities in their own country. Let's talk about the ads first. Ads like these portray fair-skinned women as confident and successful and reinforce regressive messages like dark-skinned women are stigmatized, shamed and rejected by society. They are based on the idea of colorism, which experts say is the process of discrimination that privileges light-skinned people of colour over their dark-skinned counterparts.
Fair and Lovely, which lightens the colour of the skin in a natural and gentle way.
Really? Are Bollywood actors guilty of kind of promoting racism? It is like a yes and a no, because colorism is such a deep-rooted issue in our culture. Sometimes we don't even realize it exists. And so by endorsing a fairness product, they are actually promoting, they have not started the bias, but they are actually endorsing a bias that already exists.
India's skin lightening industry is worth billions of dollars. 90% of Indian women want to use whiteners because it is aspirational, like losing weight. And now men have also joined the bandwagon to become fair and handsome.
World's #1 Imami fair and handsome, क्योंकि मर्दों को चाहिए ज़्यादा.
With Bollywood celebs profiting from and endorsing these products, this skewed idea of fair and lovely is being reinforced. This year, the Indian government proposed a ban on ads that promote such dubious claims.
Should Bollywood actors stop doing, stop endorsing fairness products because it does, in a sense, contribute towards racism in the world? I would again, say yes. It's high time. This is like a wake-up call to all of us. It's a wake-up call to think deeply about our own culture. And, think deeply about how we have endorsed colorism.
Indian-American comedian Hassan Minhaj also tore into Bollywood's hypocrisy for condemning racism while backing skin whitening creams.
Our Bollywood stars do skin whitening commercials so we don't look black. Thank you, Britain. It is bad to be black in Desi culture.
But it isn't just the adverts. Bollywood has a history of dressing blackface and brownface in many films.
रंजीते बदला तो तू भी नहीं है अच्छा हाँ पहले भी काला था और आज भी काला है.
The characters are portrayed from poorer and disadvantaged backgrounds, further fueling discriminatory sentiments. But where does India's obsession with fair skin stem from? The answer lies in its history. Experts attribute it to the country's colonial past, when India was ruled and colonized by fair-skinned conquerors, creating an association among people that fair skin equals power. And during the British rule, this idea was formally entrenched into society. Others trace it back to the centuries-old caste system, an ancient Hindu socio-economic hierarchy. The idea that the higher up the caste ladder you are, the more privileged, powerful and fair-skinned you are, is pervasive in India.
Colorism is a global issue. But yes, in India, we are still battling the obsession with fair skin because it has become so much a part of our culture, so much of this toxic belief we've kind of absorbed into our system that we don't even realize sometimes that we have this bias.
Ladies and gentlemen, Indian people, we spend our lives claiming that we're victims of racism, don't we? But yet all Indians back home, pretty fucking racist, right? But it's this strange dichotomous failed racism mixed with like feudalism and servitude in a curry. Like if a beautiful American girl, blonde hair, blue eyes, comes down to Delhi and is walking down the road because she's insane. Within 2 minutes, there will be two fat, balding, paunchy Indian men across the road looking at her like, Madam! Hello, Madam! Think about the dichotomy of that racism. While they are creeping her the fuck out, they are still calling her Madam. There is respect there. And look, like most Eastern cultures, our version of racism is what we adapted from what was taught to us by the British. British. I'm sorry, it's true. This isn't the first Brexit to happen in history, ladies and gentlemen. It's just the first intentional one, all right? Britain ruled America, they ruled Africa, they ruled the Orient. I feel like Britain must look at America the way Venus looks at Serena. Like, bitch, I trained you. You learned this shit from me. Log. I'm going to tell you a story about racism, ladies and gentlemen, and I guarantee you at some point you're going to get uncomfortable, but hang in there with me, there's a good ending. So I was surfing in the south of India, a couple of different nationalities, me, a couple of Brits, a couple of Aussies, black guy named Marcus. As Marcus is holding his surfboard, walking down to the beach, he is stopped by a Tamil villager who says, stop, 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 stop. You black, blackie. Now hang on. This man then goes to his house, wakes up two sleeping children from their afternoon nap as they rub their eyes and says, see, he black, blackie. Now I submit to you that that is not racism on two counts, ladies and gentlemen. Number one, there is no malice in that man's heart. There is fascination, there is curiosity. And number two, this happened in Tamil Nadu, where the villager and his whole fucking family are 10 times darker than the black guy. And then the kids surround Marcus and they're playing with him and he's playing back and they're looking at his hand and looking at their own hand. And they touch his hair and they touch their own hair. It is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. It is the most honest, simple, non-judgmental, naive way of acknowledging our differences. Acknowledging them because we are different, aren't we, ladies and gentlemen? My hair is different, my skin is different, my color is different, my values are different. And it's okay to talk about that. If we just talk about the fact that we are different and acknowledge why we are different, instead of pretending that nobody is different and still secretly thinking we are different, we might finally all be on the same page and be less different. If you took that man out of Tamil Nadu and dropped him right here in the middle of New York City, he'd walk around in Harlem just going, you black, black, you black, black, you black, black, blackity, blackity, black, black. And when he got out of the hospital, see, we're black, it's okay. He wouldn't understand what he has done wrong because to him, political correctness is not a concept that he understands. Right? If there's stupid shit in your head, say it once, learn, educate yourself, find out why it's wrong, never say it again. Do you agree with me, yes or no? Good. So let's start tonight. So, white people, I submit to you this. All Indians, Pakistanis, Bangladeshis, Nepalis, and Sri Lankans, we all look the fucking same. Please, confuse us all you like. We are essentially the same people, it's okay. The only difference between me and a Pakistani person is increased musical quality and decreased life expectancy. That's it, alright?
India's caste system is so extreme, it applies to the children, the women, the elders, as well as the men. Some of them look at it as though if you're born with dark skin and you're a child, they take a broom and drill a hole through the broom and put a string through the broom, and they hang the noose around the children's necks, so that when they walk through the marketplace around light-skinned people and wealthy people and upper-class people, people outside of their caste system, they can sweep their footprints away. Because some of the Indians believe that it is a sin to literally touch a Dalit or a black person or a so-called untouchable. So we're going to take and share with you a little clip of a testimony from an actual Dalit to give you some idea of what level this ignorance and ancient, racist, spooky, superstitious, religious bigotry dwells in. Let's look at this.
The first time I knew that I was inferior, I probably was 18 months old. I knew that we were untouchables. Untouchability means actually untouchability. You cannot touch them. Caste is a forced occupation based on your birth. When I first came to America, people treated me equally. In fact, even in the beginning, I used to feel, what if they touch me? They're going to be polluted. One time, a boyfriend of mine was eating from something that I already touched, and he was going there, and I said, no, stop, I touched it, and his heart broke, like, you're not in India anymore. Hinduism more or less is an ideological, religious prop for this social system that is caste. Brahma, the creator, the Brahmins are supposed to have come from the forehead, and the Kshatriyas from the arms, merchant caste from the thighs, service caste from legs. And untouchables are not part of any of Brahma, the creator. What makes them untouchable is they are assigned hereditary duties that are considered filthy and menial by the Indian society. Like the hardest jobs are theirs and the filthiest jobs are given to them. Based on these different occupations, there are about, in my area, 52 different subcastes within untouchability. And my family is called Mala. Mala means people who do agricultural labor. And there are others who do like removing dead animals, burning the dead people, and carrying away humans. My stories, my family stories, were not stories in India. They were just life. Your life is your caste is your life. At 26, I came to America, where people know only skin color. Only in talking to some friends I met here did I realize that my stories, my family stories, are not stories of shame. It's not healed. It is not healed.